UPUT Street is an official affiliate of Birdland Sports. Visit birdlandsports.com/UPodStreet, and 10% of your order will go directly to supporting the pod. Use code UPodStreet at checkout, and you'll get 10% taken off your order. Now sit back, relax, and keep that beer cold, because it's on to UPod Street. All right, welcome to UPod Street. As always, I am Jimmy Horn, and joining me is Jack Bain. Sorry for the delay. Jack was busy being Tiger Woods this afternoon, apparently.
Had the red polo on today.
Yeah.
But
the good news is that if you were waiting for the Love is Blind live stream, as apparently many people are, to begin, that is also delayed. So, Jack, I would say that we are on par with a Netflix-produced reality dating show.
that's
How
what
does that
I'm
make
hearing.
you feel?
Feeling good. You know what else makes me feel good? Better Call Saul season 6 coming on to Netflix in a couple
There
days.
you go.
So
You know, I watched Breaking Bad, loved Breaking Bad, but I never watched Better Call Saul, and I feel like I need to.
It's good, dude. I mean, you would understand everything that's going on.
I mean, I understood everything going on in Breaking Bad too. At least I thought I did.
I understand, but like this is like the Better Call Saul is the prequel, you know?
Well, okay, that makes sense. I guess they would explain
Yeah.
where some of these people come from beforehand. Yeah. That makes sense. I've heard good things. I'm not a holdout in the sense that I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, you'll get around to it sometime.
All right. Well, speaking of getting around to things, Jack, give us some notes from around the league.
Oh man, it's a big week, man. A lot of stuff going on. In the AL East, the Rays finally lost. Believe it or not, they are human. They dropped 2 to Toronto in their weekend series. Yeah, it was bound to happen sooner or later. I mean, you kind of have a cakewalk of a schedule for the first couple weeks, and then you play the Blue Jays. It's at home, nonetheless. Those videos coming out from behind the bullpen, you see those?
No, I didn't see that.
Jays fans were letting them have it.
I did read a headline that said, was it the Tigers they were playing, and they were like throwing beer cans at the Tigers?
Yeah.
Imagine that fans of Hyun-Soo Kim will sit there and be like, "Oh, Toronto Blue Jay fans throwing beer cans? What a surprise!"
Common Blue Jays L. Garrett Cole was pretty good today.
I heard.
Went the distance through a complete game shutty, striking out I think 12. It's pretty good. Yeah, the Yankees are doing pretty well. Not to really anybody's surprise, but yeah. Giancarlo Stanton is going to be on the IL for a little bit.
That also doesn't surprise me.
Hit the 7-day DL today. And Boston has won 3 in a row as well. So the AL East, man, it's crazy. The AL East is crazy, dude.
We have that balanced schedule is crucial.
All 5 teams in the AL East are 500 or better. Rays are in first place at 14-2. Yankees and Blue Jays both 10-6. Baltimore's 9-7, and Boston's 8-8. All the teams either have an even or plus run differential, which is kind of nuts. I think it's definitely the only division. Yeah, just nutty stuff.
Well, we were talking about it before the show. Someone posted a stat out there. The American League East is the only division with 3 teams that are 10-6 or better.
Yeah.
The NL East has 2. Every other division either only has 1 team or 0 teams that are 10-6 or better.
Stupid. The AL Central, man, it's always just kind of mid. The Twins are still looking pretty good. They're at 10-6 at the top, followed by the Guardians at 9-7, and then a mixed match of three teams. But the AL Central is always the worst division, man. No big headlines coming out of the AL Central this go around, but in the West, Mariners are back on track. Had a big series against the Rockies over the weekend. I watched a couple of those games, man, and just the Rockies, man.
Did you see? Here's the real question. Did you see the video of the Rockies mascot getting tackled on top of the dugout?
Yeah, dude, I did see that. That's insane.
Why are people attacking? What's his name? Dinger? Like Dinger the Dino?
Dinger the Dino, yeah.
Why are you attacking Dinger? I think he's a great mascot. Why would you tackle him?
He must have looked at him wrong.
I guess it just out of the blue. Apparently, like the guy wasn't caught either. They put like a bolo out for the guy. They didn't arrest him on the spot for tackling their mascot.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if someone tackled the bird? That guy would be tackled by like 20 Orioles fans.
Yeah, it would be raps. Anyways, the Mariners look like they're one big like acquisition away from being at the same level that the Astros are, and they just need to be consistent. They looked good against the Rockies. Of course, everybody looks good against the Rockies. But I feel like they need one more starting pitcher. I mean, they have the bullpen in the lineup full of studs. It's just one more thing.
So you're saying watch them come trade deadline time?
Yeah, I would assume them to make a splash like they did last year with Castillo. In the NL East, Braves and Mets have both started to heat up big time. That race is getting started pretty early. The Mets also called up Brett Baty. He's going to join the team tomorrow, I believe, which is awesome. Dude, he's a stud. Brett Baty is a stud.
Do you happen to know his MLB pipeline ranking or his?
I know he's number one in the Mets system.
Okay.
It's either him or Alvarez, but he's definitely top 50. In the NL Central, the Pirates, believe it or not, still kicking.
McCutcheon Magic.
I know they're third right now. They're 9-7, behind the Cubs and the Brewers. The Brewers are 11-5. I think a lot of people were probably kind of surprised by this, but the Brewers still have a really good core of starting pitchers and a very serviceable lineup. Cardinals still struggling at 7-9. They just don't have starting pitching. They still have Matthew Liberatore in triple, and he's having a great start to the year. They really need to call him up. But I don't know. Pittsburgh is having a bunch of injuries, though. Ji-Man Choi went down a couple of days ago. Hate to see it. But Ji-Hwan Bae on the Pirates, electric.
There we
Ji-Hwan
go.
Bae is awesome. In the West, Diamondbacks still in first, fending the Dodgers off for now. And then just a couple of other headlines. Daniel Bard, who didn't start the season with the Rockies this year due to mental health issues, is making his rehab start today, or has made his rehab start today. So that's really cool to see. And then Joey Votto is also on a rehab right now after getting shoulder surgery at the end of last year. And he, on quote, said to MLB reporters that his swing is not there. So Joey Votto might be cooked.
I was gonna say he's pretty late in his career, and
yeah, and it sucks.
Shoulder surgery that late in your career is not an easy thing to come back from.
And it's rotator cuff too. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what's going on around the league. So,
well, that's great that that's all going on around the league, but here in Baltimore, we had a pretty big week, which was not only anticipated, but also very much needed. The Orioles are going through a stretch now where they're going up against opponents that are, A, not in the American League East, but B, not exactly strong opponents either. This started this past week, the second half of the Orioles homestand, where they were facing off against the Oakland A's. And the first game, I would say, went about what we should expect when we're facing off against Oakland. Wouldn't you say, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did exactly what we needed to do against Oakland, not only in, game one, but the whole series. You can't take any less than 3 or 4 from the A's.
Had to, although it didn't come without struggles. So the first game, we had a great outing from Kyle Gibson, who went 6 1/3, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. We had home runs from Mountcastle and Hayes. 5-1 win, all around solid win. Although rare moment, Cedric Mullins got ejected.
I think it was his first career ejection, wasn't it?
First career ejection for Cedric Mullins. He had been struggling not only all game, but he'd been kind of struggling up before that. His last plate appearance, he takes a high strike, which per the pitch track on the broadcast showed that it was high. As he was walking to the dugout, he turns and says one thing to the umpire, where it basically looked like he gestured at his chest, looked like he said, "That's high, man," and immediately got ejected. No warning, nothing. Immediately got ejected, which then fired him up, because he's like, "I've said one thing," and then was immediately ejected. Brandon Hyde followed out there to protect his player. And what I thought was a brilliant manager move was basically like, "I'm going to say my piece and I'm not leaving until you eject me too," because that's protecting your players right there. So yeah, first career ejection for Cedric Mullins. I think it was like 11th career ejection for Brandon Hyde.
Umpire must have been a little man fan.
Well, he just, let me tell you, his strike zone watching that game, it was inconsistent the whole game. It really was.
Yeah.
And I think Cedric, who was already frustrated, had kind of had enough of it.
Yeah, it sucks because as soon as you make a gesture, like if you're saying it's high, you're gonna get wrong. And especially like if the umpire was probably being barked at the whole night by the Orioles, like it probably didn't take a whole lot because it was late in the game.
Of course, you can be a Yankees pitcher and have sticky stuff on your hands and not get ejected. So,
of course.
Another notable thing.
Oh, hold on. Another notable thing about game one was that Jorge Mateo play. I don't know if you remember it, but he made a backhand play in the 6 hole, and like a low Jeter hop throw from the hole to one hop it to Mountcastle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was one of those, as soon as it happened, they're like, we have an early candidate for play of the year. Because it was one of those, you saw him get it deep in the hole, and you just said, there's no way. Like, he's either going to throw this ball away or he's going to have to pocket it. Yeah, and he got it there in time.
Nuts.
Jorge Mateo, man, have yourself a year so far. He is on fire. Game 2, I was witness to this game. I was there for this game. This was the Grayson Rodriguez Camden Yards debut. I did get a t-shirt. I was worried. I was nervous. I was tweeting out, someone save me some t-shirts. Did not need to happen. There were plenty of t-shirts by the time I got there. I will say, smaller crowd than I thought. When I was walking up, there was a big crowd walking up at the same time. And I was like, hey, here we go. Get a lot of people out here for Grayson Rodriguez. I think it was only like 12,000 people showed up.
Yeah, not much.
Not much. I mean, I guess Tuesday against the Athletics, but still.
I got a shirt, by the way.
I was a little surprised. What was that?
I got a shirt.
Did you? Oh, that's right. You said your buddy got you a shirt.
My boy Andy came through clutch. Got me a shirt.
Go. Hey, I'll say this too. This is my own personal vendetta against 6:30 start times. There was a lot of people still walking in come like 7:15, 7:30. A lot of people were still walking in. At that point, 45 minutes, almost an hour into the game having started.
Yeah.
I'm just saying 6:30 start times, very inconvenient for a lot of people. All right. I've said my piece. Did not get a fantastic Grayson Rodriguez start. He pitched 4 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs. Kind of got pulled early. He still got a standing ovation when he got pulled. I think people are excited that he's here. It's just very clear that you have to. He's having to build himself up a bit.
Dude, he's just got to get through the first couple innings.
He does. I'll say what I noticed in that game is that he didn't really have a put away pitch in that first game at Camden Yards. A lot of hits that were coming against him were coming when he had 2 strikes. And apparently the broadcasters were saying, like, the pitch that he's going to for that 3rd strike is a pitch that in AAA you're going to get guys out on, but in the majors you're not going to be able to get guys put away with that pitch. So
yeah, it's just a matter of just more veteran guys, and for the lack of a better term, I mean, there's just better guys up in the majors. So I mean, when you get guys with 2 strikes, there's going to be more fight in those at bats rather than some AAA guys who are less experienced are going to chase something out of the zone. So I mean, he was using the power curve a lot, and guys were just spitting on it. So I think that for Grayson moving forward, and we will talk about it when we get to the White Sox game from today, get through the first inning, settle in, because he racks up strikeouts every start too.
He does, and he has a lot of velocity. He's a velocity pitcher.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter, and the thing is too, with having to develop that put away pitch, having to develop getting through the first inning. Again, we'll get to this when we get to talking about the rotation. But this is all stuff that he has to learn at the major league level. He's not going to be able to learn this at AAA. He has to keep working through this at the major league level. That's the only way he's going to learn at this point. He has nothing else to learn at AAA. So even though it was a disappointing start, it's all just part of the learning process. The good news for Grayson Rodriguez is that Ryan Mountcastle exists.
Yeah.
Both him and Austin Hayes homered in the game. Austin Hayes, by the way, went 4 for 5 in that game, but was overshadowed by Ryan Mountcastle, who had 2 home runs, 1 3-run home run, and 1 grand slam, and tied a franchise record with 9 RBIs.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Anytime your name is put up there with Eddie Murray, I think you did something good. I'm just going to throw that out there as a hot take. And I will also say I was seated out in the by the bullpen for the game. What a great game to be in the left field stands, because every single home run ball was coming around us. I didn't get one, but they were all really close to us.
Yeah. No, I mean, the game was great. Like, I'm very, very glad that this team is hitting so completely.
It needs to be right now. Honestly.
Yeah, because I mean, when you let up 8 runs to the Athletics. Anyways, but yeah, Mountcastle batted in 9 of our 12 runs, and then Austin Hayes probably had the rest. Dude was standing on his head that night, and I mean, he was standing on his head the whole week.
Yeah, he was. Game 3, a less enthusiastic game. The only game that we drop of the series. Brent Rooker continued to be the thorn in the side of the Orioles this game. I don't know about you. I had never really heard of Brent Rooker before the series. I now may never forget him.
Who is Brent Rooker? Where did he come from? I'm going to pull – you keep talking. I'm going to pull up this Baseball Reference.
All right. A game that was very frustrating for an Orioles offense that just came after a monster night before. They left 13 runners on base. Dean Kremer did not do well again. He gave up 4 earned runs. The Orioles would go on to lose that game 8-4, which was just a very, frustrating loss. The Orioles offense just couldn't seem to get anyone home. The Orioles pitching could not seem to put anyone away. And when you're going against the Oakland Athletics of all teams, you don't like to have games like that. You never expect to sweep a 4-game series, I don't think. But you don't like to lose a game that way to a team that bad.
Brent Rooker went to Mississippi State, so he's an SEC guy.
Okay. Mississippi State, they've got a good baseball program down there.
Yeah, man. He was drafted by the Twins. He's a first-round pick.
Where did he go? Like, how have we not heard of this guy until now? He's apparently the kryptonite of the Orioles.
He was drafted by the Twins. He was in the Twins organization until 2020. Made his major league debut in the COVID year. And then bounced around between the Royals and the Padres last year. And now he's with Oakland with a cool 1,088 OPS.
Well, that's pretty good. Good for him, I guess.
If anybody was wondering about Brent Rooker, he's 28 and raking.
Game 4 looked a lot like it might have gone the way of Game 3. Austin Hayes did have a 3-for-4 day, which was great for him. Another Mountcastle home run that day. But Cole Irvin was not the Cole Irvin that we were expecting or promised when we traded for him. Didn't even make it through 4 innings, I don't think. Just all around a bad outing. I thought we were going to drop this one. Miraculously, we tied it in the bottom of the 9th inning. Who else but Adley Rutschman to hit his first career walk-off home run. And according to him, his first ever walk-off home run. I believe Kevin Brown looked it up. He did have a walk-off inside the park home run in college.
Oh,
which came the day after he also had a walk-off base hit. But he apparently, even in high school, little league, wherever, he has never had a walk-off home run until that moment. It was an ugly win. It was the Orioles really had no business winning that game, in my opinion. But I am not going to complain. A win is a win. I love to see Adley hero moments. 3 out of 4 from Oakland, got the series win, move on.
Yeah, so Cole Irvin, we'll talk about it later, but he was optioned after this game, let up 6 runs over 4 innings and was up to a 10.66 ERA after that start. And I mean, you just look at Cole Irvin's like different stats. He was walking. His walk rate was 12.5%. Not good. To put that in perspective, Kyle Gibson's walk rate is 6.4. So
stark difference there.
You don't need to strike guys out because he's not really a strikeout guy. He's more a finesse guy. Like, let him hit it. When you're putting so many guys on, it just doesn't work, man. So I really hope that he can go down and figure it out and triple. I think he will.
I think that was the good thing about this trade is the fact that he still had an option.
Yeah.
Because then if exactly what happened, okay, we can still send him down to AAA and have him work through it, as opposed to if he had no options and then he flopped, it's like, well, crap, what do we do now?
Right. I'm not.
Well, then,
hold on. I'm not worried about Cole Irvin. I think he's gonna figure it out in AAA. But we talked about panic buttons last week. Yeah, I would probably hit the panic button on our only big trade acquisition from the offseason.
Yeah. I think the Orioles hit the panic button, and I think they were right to hit the panic button to be like, go down to AAA and figure this out.
Yeah.
The Orioles from there went out to the Windy City to face the Chicago White Sox. Game one, the offense that had been firing on all cylinders seemed really, really quiet for most of the game. The Orioles were down 3-0 until the 7th inning, where suddenly the offense woke up. Adley Rutschman hit a bases clearing double for the second straight game with a game-winning RBI. Tyler Wells was pretty decent in this game. He went 5 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. But then the killer was after the Orioles took the lead. They got 2 insurance runs, and Felix Bautista came in, did his thing, and had 3 strikeouts to end the game. Jack, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Felix Bautista is good.
Felix Bautista is that guy.
He not only is he that guy, he's that guy that ate that guy and then became double that guy.
Dude, if he could just stop walking so many people,
He'd be crucial.
He would be the best closer in the game.
People would be like, Edwin Diaz who?
Right. My one big takeaway from this game is Yennier Cano.
Yo, what a way to make your debut with the Orioles.
Yennier Cano looked absolutely disgusting.
And he came in, didn't he come in with like bases loaded? He came in some sort of dramatic situation.
He came in to clean up Ciano Perez's mess.
Yes.
Which seems to be a lot going on.
Here's my thing with Ciano Perez. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he pitch an inning before he got into a mess?
Perez?
Yes.
No.
Perez
came in after Mike Baumann pitched 2/3. Perez came in with one guy on. It was a Mike Baumann walk, and then Perez came in, walked another guy, and then let up an RBI.
Because you know my theory about Perez. He's good for 1 inning, but only 1 inning.
He really wasn't good for anything.
He wasn't really good for any innings this game. So that's the exception that proves the rule. Okay.
Yeah, and Cano inherited 2 guys from Ciano Perez
after having just been called up. I mean, he was just called up the afternoon before.
Yeah, I was sitting there, and Brady and I were watching the game while we were playing MLB The Show. And we'd look
Brady
over
Bain, famous commenter on YouTube, who was patiently waiting today at 8:28 for us to start our live stream.
Yeah, dude, we would just look down, and you see this sinker that starts in the zone, and then it's on the White Sox hitter's hands before you even know it. I mean, dude, he was electric. He didn't strike a ton of guys out. He had 1 strikeout over an inning and 2/3. But he did what he needed to do. He stranded the guys that he inherited, didn't score. And it really kept the Orioles in the game, honestly. If those guys score, then it's a totally different ball game.
Absolutely.
And then to hand it off to Felix, wrap it up.
Game 2 was a real back and forth game. Gibson probably, I have to look at his other outings, but I feel like this is probably Gibson's worst outing of the year. But even so, it was a fairly decent outing. He went 5 1/3 inning pitched, gave up 7 hits, which isn't great. 4 runs, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. That 1 strikeout also kind of stands out to me. He had the lead, but then it seemed like Brandon Hyde left him in for 1 batter too long. He had an 0-2 count just to then give up a home run. Really poor, 0-2 count pitch that was then hit out of the ballpark. So kind of a sour end to what was an okay outing up to that point. He was followed by Colombe. Is that how you pronounce his name? Colombe?
Danny Coulombe.
Coulombe. It's a silent B.
Yep.
I never know how to pronounce his name. Colum, who has probably been our best pitcher out of the bullpen for the
Most
most part,
consistent.
most consistent, and he gives up a run. He didn't look very good. So after the Orioles had taken a 5-4 lead, he then gave up that lead. We went all the way to the 10th inning. I tell you what, Jack, I was driving home from work. The 10th inning had just started. As I'm driving out of work, Adley Rutschman in the 10th inning comes up, gets us an RBI to go ahead. I start punching the ceiling of my car because I'm all excited because Adley could, for the third day in a row, have a game-winning RBI. Just for then Logan Gillespie to come in the save situation in the bottom of the 10th. Now, I get why, because Felix Bautista had just pitched in the last 3 games. So I get why Gillespie is being given the save situation there. Maybe not Gillespie specifically, but I get why not Felix is being given the save situation there. Logan Gillespie, who sometimes has good outings, sometimes doesn't. He doesn't get a single out, gives up 2 runs, and the Orioles lose.
Yeah, Gillespie over 5 innings of work this season has a 7.2 ERA. Really, him and Voth are our worst statistical relievers, and they just can't keep the ball in the yard. Gillespie's batting average on balls in play is 438. So
That's not good.
when guys put the ball in play, it's usually a hard hit or just like finding holes. It's just
yeah. I again, I understand why you don't use Felix because he's pitched 3 games in a row, but I really wish they had used someone other than Logan Gillespie there. We could have walked out of the series with a sweep, but
at that point, like they already used a bunch of guys, and
they did.
Other than that, you had Keegan Aiken left, Mike Bauman, who also pitched the day before.
No, they didn't have Keegan Aiken. He's on paternity leave.
Oh well, yeah,
that's why Cano's in there.
Right. So really, he was kind of the last resort, to be honest. He was all that we had left. It was either him or Voth. I mean,
which
pick your poison.
Both you can trust just as much as Gillespie.
Yeah, pick your poison, man. Voth's got a 9 ERA. Also can't keep the ball in the yard. His home runs per 9 are 5.6.
Now here's a question, Jack. And maybe it's just too early in the year to make this much of a risk, but would you put Felix in for the 4th game in a row? Because, and here's why I would consider doing it. At that point, you're in the 2nd game of the series. It's all about winning series, right? Like that's the name of the game throughout the years. Just win series. You have a chance to win that 2nd game. If you put Felix in as your best chance to win the game, and then just recognize like, hey, if we're in a safe situation on Sunday, we're not going to use Felix. He's got to rest. But hey, at least we can say at that point we've won the series.
I don't know. I think Brendan Hyde made the call that he was given.
Now here's the bigger controversial decision is in the top of the 10th inning. Jorge Mateo, when he came up to bat, gave a sacrifice bunt to advance the runner. Why, if you know that you don't have Felix Bautista to come in and close out the game, are you having someone do a sacrifice bunt and trying to go for the 1 run instead of like, hey, we probably should pile on as many runs as possible?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
not a big sacrifice bunt guy to begin with, by the way. I feel like in the modern day game, you're just giving a free out.
No,
and with pitching as good as it is, I'm not a big sacrifice bunt fan in the first place. But to me, sacrifice bunting in that situation sounds like, well, we just want to get a run. But if you know you don't have your closer available, I would say I want to get as many runs as possible. And Jorge Mateo, who has the hot bat right now, let him swing away.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's definitely a call that was going for the 1 run, like you said. I think that you try and pile on more runs in that situation, though, because Felix has pitched in the last 3 games. Why not try and get a few more? Give Connor Gillespie a better shot of Logan Gillespie. Connor Gillespie. Yeah.
Logan Gillespie's a lesser known brother.
Yeah. Just give him a better shot of like having a more like just solidified outing. I mean, he didn't
Because if you score 2 runs, at least then Gillespie can come in and be like, yo, if that ghost runner from second scores, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Instead, he's freaking out as soon as that guy's on second when he comes into the game.
I mean, at that point, like Gillespie was so bad. He'll have 3 hits and 2 runs.
0 outs.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. So on a more positive note, we lose game 2. We come into game 3. Grayson Rodriguez against Dylan Cease. Also, I was going to curse you today, by the way. I was going to be really mad at you because you said on last week's show, like, oh, let's hope we see Dylan Cease. No. Let's hope we don't see that. I'm sorry, Jack. I'm rooting for the Orioles to win. I don't want to see other teams' aces, okay? And so then I see Dylan Cease is on the mound going against Grayson Rodriguez, and I was like, this is what Jack wanted. This is exactly what he wanted, and now Dylan Cease is about to poo-poo all over our team. And you're lucky that didn't happen, Jack, because I was going to let you have it if that had happened.
Dude, Dylan Cease is just really fun to watch.
Not when he's playing the Orioles.
It's really fun. Also, by the way, Connor Gillespie led the White Sox in batting average in 2014.
Okay.
Connor Gillespie is a real person.
Well, there you go. That's where you're getting that from. You had to vindicate yourself.
It's World Series champion Connor Gillespie to you, man.
Oh, okay. Apologies. So game 3, Grayson Rodriguez, rough start. Like we were talking about, that first inning, woes hit Grayson Rodriguez hard today. Gave up a 3-run home run, immediately followed by a solo home run in the first inning. He gave up 4 runs in the first inning. Jack, in this moment, were you calling for him to be sent down to AAA?
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
I will say I was worried. I was not going to call for him to go to AAA. There were a lot of people on Twitter calling for him to go to AAA. I was not one of them, but I was worried in that moment.
He struck out 8.
Well, that's the thing. So I'm talking just that first inning. I was worried.
Oh, well.
But then he went on to put up 4 scoreless innings. So he went 5 innings pitched, gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and struck out 8. That 8 strikeout to me is huge. And also, the big concern coming out of spring training was that he was walking a lot of guys. He only walked 2.
Yeah, he's fine.
So it's all about settling down in that first inning. As soon as he settles down, he's great. He's the Grayson Rodriguez we were promised. It's just about getting through that first inning. And that's just I think that's a mental thing. I think at this point, I don't think that's a mechanics thing. That's not an injury thing. That's not a skill thing. I think that is purely a mental thing. And he needs to work with whoever he needs to work with to be like, hey, when you're getting ready for a major league game, meditate, stretch, eat a special breakfast that morning. I don't know. Whatever it is you have to do to get mentally there, I think that's what he needs. Because as soon as he's like, oh, yeah, I'm pitching, he's fine. It's just that first inning, it takes him a while to get there.
He's just got to get the ball on the ground more. He's letting guys elevate too much. He's got a ground ball rate of 37%. And for perspective, Kyle Gibson's got a ground ball rate of 44. And Kyle Gibson is a let him hit it kind of pitcher. Grayson Rodriguez is not. So when they do hit it, you want the ball to be on the ground. Got a batting average on balls in play of 370. So you can see the guys are elevating and the ball's coming in hard and it's going out even harder. So you got to
Right.
find a different approach to getting guys out. Yeah, K rate's 25% over a small sample size. That's great. But when people aren't striking out and they are making contact, you got to figure out how to get the ball down. Lot of like high elevations. He still hasn't let up a home run yet. So it's just making sure that those like balls that are getting hit hard stay out of the gaps. I feel like that's what's been his untimely walks.
Now, after 4 runs were given up in the first inning, I know the other thing I was panicking on was I was like, there's no way this team's coming back from that. That is a morale killer right there.
Against
What's
Dylan
that,
Cease.
Jimmy? Wrong. Don't count out this team, man. This offense is firing on all cylinders. Especially after the game before they went like 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Not today. They would fight back to score 8 unanswered runs. Big day for Cedric Mullins again, who seems to have broken out of his early season struggles. As Brady said, you can't escape him. And the bullpen that has struggled really showed up today in a big way. Michael Baumann. Jack, are you a Michael Baumann fan? Because I know I'm very quickly becoming a Michael Baumann fan. He had 2 innings in relief, gave up 0 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. His ERA in appearances of 9 1/3 innings pitched this season is a cool 0.96.
I wasn't a Mike Baumann fan when I saw that he made the roster, but he most certainly proved me wrong with basically everything that you just said. He's one of the guys that comes in and honestly you have confidence in. I think like the guys you have confidence in right now are Bautista, Baumann,
Colomb. Even though he had 1 bad outing this week.
Yeah.
Colomb, I'd still say I have a pretty good confidence in.
Yeah, and if Cano can keep doing what he's doing, it'll be Cano. But yeah, Mike Baumann, man, how about him?
How about him? Also, we had the Austin Voth redemption appearance. 1 inning pitched, 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and 2 strikeouts.
Now do it again.
Can he do it again? He did it just enough to make everyone question DFAing him.
Yeah.
He did just enough where everyone was like, well, hold on. Should we DFA this guy? But he's still certainly up there with Gillespie right there as far as the worst pitchers in the pen. So after this week, 2 series wins in a row, one of which was a 4-game series. So this past week, that's what 5 out of the last 7 games we've won. That's a good week right there. I'll take that week every week of the season if I could.
Yep.
That's a really good week. It's coming on the heels of, it's a month where we're playing a lot of not great teams. And at a point in the season where we still have Dylan Tate out, we still have Michael Givens out. John Means is still not going to come back till July. You have who else go down? You have Aiken goes on paternity leave. You have Bradish is still not eligible to return until this week. It's important to take these games while we can. This is the easiest part of our season probably. And the fact that it's corresponding when we have a lot of injuries is the best thing that the Orioles can probably hope for. So take advantage of it while we can. The offense had a great week, absolutely great week. Some notable stats. So Cedric Mullins, who we cannot escape, in his last 7 games, he's 8 for 23, which is a 348 average. He's got 7 RBIs, 8 walks, 4 stolen bases, an on-base percentage of 516 and an OPS of 994. So he's still not like right there where we expect Cedric Mullins to be, but he's breaking out. He had a great series in Chicago. Certainly seems to be back on track in the Cedric Mullins we all know and love. Gunnar Henderson. Are you worried about Gunnar Henderson?
No, not even a little, to be honest.
Nor should you be.
No, I mean, yeah, he's having a slow start. When you have that much like pressure on you as number one, most publications number one prospect. Like
I think he's every publication's number one prospect.
Either him or
pretty
Corbin Carroll. No, I don't think it's everybody, but
yeah.
Like you have all this pressure on you, and you're trying to still stay within yourself and stay within the approach that is outlined. It's a really good interview with him talking about his approach and just kind of his approach in general to baseball on the Show and Go podcast from Just Baseball Media. I recommend listening to that one to hear about Gunnar Henderson. So nothing is going to change mentally for him. It'll just start clicking more because a lot of these teams have data on him from last year, and they're going to pitch around him and do different things to get him out where they didn't have that data last year, so that he set the bar really high for himself with being the number one prospect and having a really good end of the season when he got called up last year. So now the league's adjusting to him. He needs to adjust back, and we need to adjust expectations for Gunnar Henderson, as hard as it is.
I think here's the biggest thing with Gunnar Henderson is, yes, his on base or his batting average is low right now, but his on base percentage is 200 points higher than his batting average. So his batting average is 178. His on base percentage is 373. He did go 2 for 4 today with a walk and 3 runs scored. Here's the big thing about the on base percentage. So your American League leaders in walks. Number 1, Adley Rutschman with 16 walks. Go Adley. Number 2, with 13 walks, Gunnar Henderson. And he's tied with who's he tied with? He's tied with Gleyber Torres, Mike Trout, and Kyle Tucker. Pretty good company. Yeah. And by the way, number 6, so right after that is Cedric Mullins with 12 walks. The Orioles are walking a lot. I think the biggest thing with Gunnar Henderson, and I heard this when I was listening to the radio today, one of his hits he hit on the first pitch of the at bat. And they were basically saying that's what Gunnar needs to start doing. He's being very patient with at bats, which is great. That's why his on base percentage is higher. That's why his walks are so high. He's being very patient with at bats.
He's also striking out a lot, though.
He is striking out a lot. But a lot of those strikeouts are coming on like 3-2 pitches.
Yeah.
So he's taking a lot of pitches, and what the guys on the radio were saying is he needs to start being a little bit more aggressive, because if pitchers know that you're going to be very patient at bats, sometimes the best pitch you're going to see is going to be the first pitch or 2. So you need to start swinging the bat a little bit more early on in the at bats, and you'll start to see the success come with that. Yeah. But he had a great series. He had a great game. So he's starting to heat up a little bit. Where I still wouldn't say like heating. He's maybe like smoldering a little bit, like the smoke's starting to come out. But he's going to get there soon. You can see he's really close to breaking out. Here's some notable stats that I found today that I thought were pretty good about this offense. So the Orioles are second in the MLB for runs, behind only the 13-2 Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay has 114 runs, which is incredible. The Orioles have 94 runs. So that just shows you how good this offense has been. Ryan Mountcastle is third in home runs with 6, and he's only behind Pete Alonso and Devers. And let's see, Jorge Mateo is 8th in average. Mountcastle is tied for first with RBIs at 20. Mateo and Mullins are tied for first in stolen bases with 8. Austin Hayes is third in runs scored with 15, and Adley Rutschman is third in on base percentage with 481. That's all a lot of really good indicators of how good this offense has been. And Jack, with really good offense comes really good celebrations.
It's true. Just one
How
more
do you
thing. Hold on, one more thing on the Orioles offense is that a team that is second in the league for runs scored has only a run differential of +7. So that just shows you how much that this offense is carrying, that you can have the second best team in the league for runs, but still only have a +7 differential. If we had two more starters, two more serviceable starters, you know, our record probably is, dude.
that's what's going to be huge with when we get John Means back in July, with Bradish coming back off the IL, really moving these pitchers around. It's going to be huge when Michael Givens and Dylan Tate come back. That's the thing, is the offense is clicking. We just need these pitchers to get healthy.
Yeah.
And maybe if it's all clicking well enough come trade deadline, who knows what could happen.
Seriously.
Maybe the Orioles are buyers as far as pitching is concerned.
And then adversely to the people who are hot right now on the team, another guy who's still really struggling, Anthony Santander. We talked about him last week and if we should hit the panic button or not. He hit that home run yesterday.
Yep.
Before that, he was 3 for 30.
I think it was 3 for 36.
Yeah.
I think it was even worse than that.
I mean, he's just striking out a ton, dude. K rate of 33.9%.
He did have an RBI today.
And I mean, I hope that he keeps going back on the ascension to where he was last year, because I mean, we kind of need him, man. If we have like him and Gunnar start clicking all the way, and Hayes, Mullins, Mountcastle, they all stay hot, dude, it's gonna be an even deadlier offense than what you're looking at right now.
That's a scary offense to face. I would put Santander after the last 2 games. I would put him in that same category as Gunnar, where he's like smoldering right now. Like you can start to see some of the smoke, but he's not quite hot yet. But you know it's there.
I'm way more confident in Gunnar turning around though than Santander.
That's fair. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. So the Homer hose.
The Homer hose. Well, first of all, there's a progression to this. So all the celebrations are themed. So last year we got the locked in, right? Anytime you got a hit, you were locked in, and then we got the home run chain. So this year the celebrations are all themed together. So if you get a single, you are turning on the faucet. So you turn on the faucet. If you get an extra base hit, then you do the sprinkler, and then the pitchers with the sprinkler spit water into the air. And then if you hit a home run, you take a drink out of a hose that has a funnel at the top of it, and they pour water into it. There is a controversy here, Jack. The Orioles say it's called the Homer hose. Melanie Newman called it the Slug and Chug, and all of Twitter has called it the Dong Bong. What do you think it is, Jack?
I first saw it as Dong Bong, so I'm gonna keep riding with Dong Bong probably.
That's my thing. I think Dong Bong is absolutely hilarious. Did you see that? Did you see that clip of Kyle Gibson being like, "Oh, it's a Homer hose. I never thought Dong Bong would be in my vocabulary."
Old man Kyle.
I love someone took him saying Dong Bong and just put it on repeat. So it's just a video of him going Dong Bong, Dong Bong, Dong Bong.
I love it.
Either ways, I think it's a brilliant celebration, and it's a celebration that got them national attention, where all the news outlets are saying no one is having more fun than the Baltimore Orioles right now. And I think that's the biggest thing with this team as it continues its ride out of what was a rebuild and is now getting more into the like, hey, we're going to be a good team again. I think it's important that this team shows that they are fun, because I've always been an ardent supporter of the idea that, when we talked about the pitch clock and stuff like that, faster games is not what baseball or the Orioles needed to get more fans. It's making it fun. And I
Yeah,
think these celebrations are really, really fun.
they're a good time, man. It's very college baseball-esque. Like these
Absolutely.
kinds of celebrations. I like it.
And for Karen from Dundalk, don't come at us with the Orioles are promoting binge drinking. They're drinking water out of the hose. And Adley Rutschman himself said they're just very pro hydration. Okay.
Isn't everybody?
Is it? I'm pro hydration.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
gotta keep the guys hydrated.
Side note, by the way, Birdland Sports, just a little bit before the live stream, announced that they will be selling on the Birdland Sports website their own version of the Dong Bong. So make sure you guys go to birdlandsports.com/upodstreet. Make sure you use that /upodstreet so you can help us out. And buy your own Orioles Dong Bong. Use code UPodStreet at checkout for 10% off your Dong Bong orders. Okay?
And maybe you find a shirt that you like.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do find a shirt that you like. A very fashionable one that happens to have your favorite podcast on it.
Very humble plug.
Yeah, we're really good at advertisements.
What we got to look forward to this week, huh?
Do you want to talk about the roster moves?
I already kind of did.
Okay. Well, we have a weird schedule ahead. So the Orioles are flying back from Chicago now. They will have tomorrow off, where they then have a 2-game series against the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals, who, by the way, are a lowly 5-11.
Really looking forward to this series, dude. On Tuesday, Josiah Gray starting for the Nats, and on Wednesday, Mackenzie Gore starting. Really, really looking forward to this one. Those are two prospects that I've been kind of watching for a while, and I kind of like what stuff they have. Gray is a high velocity fastball guy with a cutter and a knockout slider, and then Mackenzie Gore is more of a finesse guy. Both former NL West prospects from the Dodgers and Padres. It's just going to be a good game. I wish I could go down, man. I hate that these series are always on weekdays. Give us a Friday, Thursday, Friday.
It is weird. Like you'd think, like with it being the Nationals and the Orioles, and they're so close, you'd think that they'd want to schedule them on weekends because they know that people would show up to them. Putting them in the middle of the week just seems like a really weird decision. People from Baltimore are not going to want to drive down in DC traffic on a Tuesday.
Yeah, especially when the game's at 6:30 too.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. I would rather it be on weekends, and then you get, you go down to DC one weekend. All the Baltimore people go down to DC one weekend. You have a nice full stadium, and then when it's on weekends up here, you have all the DC people to show up here, and you have a nice full stadium up here. But when you have it in the middle of the week, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
I will say, even though you got a nice pitching matchup there, I'm hopeful the Orioles can take both games. I mean, again, Nationals are 5-11 right now. I don't think they're expected to be much better than that this year. They're still kind of in their rebuild mode. So I would hope the Orioles take advantage of that. The big question is going to be what happens on Wednesday as far as the Orioles roster is concerned, because that's when Kyle Bradish is eligible to come back. There's a big question as to whose place he will be taking. The theory would be, okay, well, Spencer Watkins came up for Cole Irvin, who just got sent down to AAA. Maybe Kyle Bradish will come in and pitch that game, and Spencer Watkins will go down. Melanie Newman shared a tweet a couple days ago, though, when all those moves happened, and she said, by the way, Bradish is still tied to Grayson Rodriguez's spot in the rotation. So don't assume that just because Bradish is coming back that Grayson stays up and Watkins goes down.
Why not? Why not let Watkins start Tuesday, right? Let him eat those innings, and then send him back down on Wednesday. Let Grayson stay up. Why?
I think that's a good strategy.
Give Dean another day of rest, man. He needs it. Like, let him fully get rested so he's good to go. But I mean, I don't know. Or maybe they just expect Kramer to get rocked again and have Watkins in long relief for Tuesday.
Maybe I could see that. Or maybe they're hoping that, you know, a lowly Nationals team will be exactly what Dean needs to get his confidence back.
Yeah.
But then they have Watkins there as a backup just in case, like you said, for long relief.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hopeful they don't send Grayson down. I think Bradish will be the starter on Wednesday. Regardless, I'm just hopeful that they don't send Grayson down because, like we said, he's got to learn it in the major leagues right now. He can't learn it from AAA.
Is Bradish going to be good to pitch on Wednesday? Didn't he pitch yesterday?
No, he pitched on Friday. And so the next day he'd be eligible would be Wednesday.
Yeah. And then the lowly Tigers come to down on the weekend.
The lowly yet formidable Tigers, who the Orioles couldn't win a single game from last year.
That's right.
Actually, I think we got swept from them all the games last year, didn't we? I don't think we won a single one last year.
Hey Brady, known Tigers hater, can you fact check that? Did they win it all?
Might have been one game, but I think they got swept. Detroit right now is 5-9. By the way, did you get your Orioles fire sale tickets to that series?
Yeah, I got some for Friday, so I'll be there on Friday. Yeah.
Hey, I got some for Friday too. We'll see each other at the game.
Woo.
Yeah, like I said last week, guys, if you get emails from the Orioles, look at them because you might find some really good sales. So they had to celebrate Ryan Mountcastle's 9 RBI game. They had a fire sale for the Detroit series, and I think a series after that too.
The Red Sox won the following weekend.
That's right. So it was you could get upper reserve seats for $9, and you could get lower level seats for $15. So I got I'm in the corner of left field. I think I'm like the second row in the stadium, and I got it for $15. When the Orioles email you these days, look at it because they're sending you a good deal. So look for me and Jack there too if you're there on Friday.
Oh yeah.
So right now the Orioles are at 9-7. A little thing I've been doing on Twitter, if you guys have been following, is I've been comparing the 2023 Orioles to the 2022 Orioles, which I think is an important perspective, especially right now because the Orioles did get off to such a bad April start last year. That it's important to kind of compare these two and see, you know, how they'll go throughout the season. So the Orioles are 9-7 right now. Last year at this point, the Orioles were 6-10. It's not a big jump, but it is a jump nonetheless. I'm very curious how the Orioles will end the month of April, how much more improved they will be from April last year. Because kind of like we've talked on here before, Jack, if the Orioles had just won, 5 more games in April last year, they would have been a playoff team. And they were really bad in April last year. I think they were already 10 games under 500 come the end of April.
If the season ended today, the Orioles would be a playoff team.
There you have it.
What do you think about that?
That's that is a, I think, great place to end the show, Jack.
The playoff Orioles.
The playoff Baltimore Orioles.
April 16th, 2023.
All right, Jack, do you have any final words for our lovely audience?
Make sure you use code UPodStreet. Remember to give a nice 5-star rating to wherever you listen to your podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I haven't told you yet this, Jimmy, but perhaps we could get a giveaway going there on the YouTube channel soon. Perhaps. I got a couple baseball cards that I think would be good giveaway things. So perhaps that or a bobblehead. We'll have to see. But yeah, keep it on the back burner.
All right. Yeah, I'm always here for a giveaway. We'll announce that on Twitter at some point too if we have a giveaway. So keep an eye out for that. With that, we're going to end this week. Shout out to Ashley, who is going to Cambodia this week. Have fun. And as always, let's go O's. You've been listening to UPod Street, an Orioles podcast by fans for fans. UPod Street is an official Birdland Sports affiliate. Directly support the pod by purchasing UPod Street or other Orioles merchandise using the link birdlandsports.com/UPod Street. Get 10% off your order when you use the code UPod Street. Follow us on Twitter at UPod Street and at JackBain20. UPod Street is also on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the show on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. On whatever platform you listen, please subscribe, rate the pod, and leave a review. If you leave a review, we may even read it on the show. We'll see you next week, and of course, let's go O's.